So grateful to be here and very happy to discuss these incredibly important and hard to talk about topics. He has an incredible backbone and staggering moral fiber. Howie is totally committed, completely ethical, totally admirable. No pressure if you can hear this, but honestly, Howie's a hero to me.
John, you joined us before, and it was a pretty incredible kind of testimony you gave, and you just devoted your life to advocacy for child trafficking, and even 9/11 truth. Maybe you could explain to us, in the last decade, what do you think the most challenging parts of coming alive on some of these issues have been?
Probably the hardest thing, and it continues, is just realizing that pretty much everything that I was told and taught since I was in grade school is probably not true.
When I woke up this morning, things were looking bad. Seemed like total silence was the only friend I had. Bowl of oatmeal tried to stare me down, and one knew it was 12 o'clock before I realized I was having no fun. Now, but fortunately, I have the key to escape reality, and you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying to have me some fun. The last time I checked my bankroll, it was getting thin. Sometimes it seems like the bottom is the only place I've been. I chased a rainbow down a one-way street, dead end, and all my friends turned out to be insurance salesmen. But fortunately, I have the key to escape reality, and you may see me tonight with an illegal smile. It don't cost very much, but it lasts a long while. Won't you please tell the man I didn't kill anyone? No, I'm just trying to have me some fun.
And that's all we're trying to do. Good evening. Welcome to the Traffic Report. It's 12:04 on the Eastern Seaboard from the moonlit hills of the Appalachians in Southwest Virginia to the city of brotherly love. And my good friend Howie, how are you?
I'm doing well. Good to have you back.
It's good to be back. Us back. And there's a.
Well, before you, I have to apologize. I'm sure nobody listened to the show on Tuesday. John was away, and I fell asleep, and I woke up at 12. I looked over at my computer, and it said 12:15, and I already had that panic feeling, and I had to get myself together, and I called into the show at 12:20. But I'm sure by 12:20. I was talking to myself. So I want to apologize to anybody that stuck around for, 5 to 10 minutes to dead air and then decided to.
I would have been with you, but I was laying down in the middle of a pasture. So
yeah.
Is that a good excuse? Is that a good excuse?
Oh, no. You had a good excuse. I was just napping.
Well, it's been an interesting few days, and my little baby mule, who weighs about as much as a quarter horse, so baby is kind of relative. She had a spill on the mountain, and she's got this horrible gaping hole, which is her knee, and we weren't sure if she was going to survive the whole thing, so I had to basically keep her quiet until we could get a vet out here, and I found out that I'm not too old enough to sleep in a pasture for as much sleep as I got, which wasn't much, but
how's she doing?
She's getting around, and it still, could go either way, but the fact that she's walking and she's eating, and those are all good things. So I apologize. I hate when I do that to you. You probably would have been awake had I not been out in the pasture. But so it's nice to be back, and I don't like to leave you hanging in the lurch like that. But,
no, I mean, I have this. I mean, when it's just honestly, when it's just me and I'm just talking, and I don't know who's listening. It's the weirdest thing. I said it before that I've only done it twice, but I have all the respect in the world for people that can go on a podcast and just talk for an hour, because it's very strange to me, when there's a guest here, or obviously when there's you here, and we're having a conversation. That's let's just say I prefer it much more. Much more.
Yeah, that's kind of my worst nightmare. That I'll have to do that at some point. But
I think you're be much better at it than I am. I don't know why. It's just I have too many things that go through my head. Like, am I saying the right thing? Is anybody listening? There's no, like when there's no feedback. I do. I actually have a terrible fear of public speaking. I realized that in college one time as an adult student. I was getting ready to do a presentation. I still remember the class, and it was on. I forget what kind of airplanes they call them. Now my mind's going blank. Like the corporate jet type things. So I did this. I mean, I knew the presentation. I really did. I thought I did a really good job, and I was getting ready to go to class, and all of a sudden, I was walking to class. My heart started. Like, I was in a panic. I'm like, because I didn't do a public speaking in years, and it was like, so I realized then that I have a fear of public speaking, which is kind of strange, but yes, I do.
Yeah, you being on the radio and all. But,
well, yeah, I mean, I can go in a crowd and I can yell at them, and it's different.
That's public speaking.
But no, I'm talking about getting up on a stage with people looking at you, and you have to deliver something. I mean, it gives me. I get very, very panicked, but I guess I'm getting better at it.
I think so. And, it's just been a hell of a couple of weeks. I mean, things are just breaking almost faster than we can put shows together about them. We're gonna do this Tuesday before the mule and 2 mules for Sister Sarah. But the usual suspects, Kevin Spacey, a guy that I really admired for a long time, probably until recently, last few days. His acting, movies, but wow, what is coming out, and the most significant thing in my mind is the 14-year-old, and I think the way it's looking, it's just the tip of the iceberg, and then just seeing, I mean, and it's not just him. I mean, we saw this with the Weinstein thing that's ongoing, and all the stars coming out, decrying Harvey Weinstein's behavior, like Meryl Streep and Whoopi Goldberg and all those creeps that wrote a letter for Polanski, a child rapist. So, then I see, Spacey comes out as he was kind of alluding to this before, as far as I understand it, but now, and he's getting heat from the gay community, and I think he should. That he comes out as gay, that he's living as a gay man to deflect, some of this, press that he's getting about, trying to rape a 14-year-old. Well, because he was drunk and it was a bad decision. Really, I've been drunk. I think you've been drunk, haven't you, Howie?
Once, twice.
I don't think I ever went after a 14-year-old. I'm sure of that. and to use that, and then kind of and you have the mainstream media outlets trying to use that to deflect, what's really going on, and say, oh, why are they mad at him? He came out as gay. It's got nothing to do with that. And pedophilia has got nothing to do with being gay.
That's it. That's their old. But that's the game they run. And his response that he posted right on Twitter. I'm sure he posted it some other places. You could tell it was carefully crafted, and it was this sort of backhanded apology that it happened over 30 years ago, and if I did something, I'm sorry. It's just but.
And his little story, about he was drunk. Now it comes out that this was an extended relationship with his 14-year-old.
Yeah. I mean, listen. If you listen, even if you were drunk and it happened 30 years ago, you'd still remember it.
Yeah,
you would still listen. Any person that you've had any type of I'm just going to call it like sexual contact. Be like, you might have forgotten about it or whatever, but like, oh yeah, I remember that. Like you don't forget stuff like that. I mean, at least I don't. I don't think Kevin Spacey would forget. Anthony Rapp.
Yeah, and then I'm reading this too. This is another one coming forward. That wants to remain anonymous, but he was also 14. Spacey was 24, and they began an extended sexual relationship. It was then 24 that ended with what he describes as an attempted rape. And this is somebody that, he apparently was having a sexual relation. That it's just so perverse that
right. And some people are coming out and say, why didn't you come out before? And just like Matt said, the producer from Open Secret said, that people don't want to come out because it will, and one of the themes throughout an Open Secret is that it will ruin your career. You'll report it, it will go nowhere, and then you have no career. So why are people just keep their mouths shut and, just live with it? And it's it's everybody's job to keep putting pressure on, whether it's the Beverly Hills Police, the Los Angeles Police Department, the LA, FBI. Why aren't these allegations? And this is going to go up because I think something must have been reported in the last 50, 60, 70 years that just got buried. I'm almost positive of it.
Absolutely. And I guess these people don't realize that their victims are enraged by the way they're handling this. It's not like, hey, I have a problem. This is totally screwed up, and I need to make it right. It's like, oh, I was drunk, I was this, I was that. And that's just going to make more people come forward, and so that's a good thing. Let them do that. Let them, do their PR bullshit, and please go on. It's on Vulture.com. It's this interview that they had with this other 14-year-old, not the rap individual, but this is you just really need to read this. I mean, it's grooming going around on, and now we're starting to get elements of what I would consider a pedophile ring. Okay, so you have Kevin Spacey,
who's now at the forefront. But you have him in a movie. When did Usual Suspects come out? 95?
Around that time, yeah.
Okay, so directed by Bryan Singer, who also has accusations out the wazoo. Okay,
yeah, he hangs out with some very the pickle guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so you have a director, you have an actor, and that was all part of the Quentin Tarantino thing. And Quentin Tarantino has done all his movies with Miramax and Harvey Weinstein. Okay, so you have Harvey Weinstein, Bryan Singer, and Kevin Spacey, all very directly linked. Okay, in a work environment. So, what would be the chances that these three, involved in one movie, would be, three of the names that are all over Hollywood, and nobody, that's the beginnings of a ring, okay? And the other actors on Usual Suspects, I don't know what was going on in '95, but this is the type of stuff that needs to be just, not dug, excavated. Yeah. Who else was in Usual Suspects? I know Madsen. I think Michael Madsen, is that his name?
Pollock, he's dead. Benicio del Toro. One of the Baldwins. I can never remember.
Okay. All right. Right. All right. So started. All right. So everybody come out. Did you see anything on the set? What's going on at the time? Oh, it was 22 years ago. Shut the fuck up. What'd you say? What was going on at that time? Because, and it's all going to come out.
What struck me is reading this, because Corey Feldman is also, it seems like they have got the names of the guys that were involved with him, but he was talking about that soda shop place that they all went to. And this is how Spacey got this kid. Let's go out for an ice cream, And they're talking about, this kid was 12 at the time. It was a theater group inside St. Thomas's Church. Yeah, I wonder who the pastor was, and what he was doing with these kids. And they have them. They're grooming these kids. Summer of '83, 14 years old. And let's go for an ice cream. So that they're grooming these kids, and we were kind of talking about this earlier, and I have the same feeling that this is generational, for these people. And I think Kevin Spacey was probably abused as a kid. Who knows if that happened through a network, a church, and it's obviously an epidemic. It could have been the Boy Scouts, if he was in USA Gymnastics, there's just so much of it, but that's accused of this is going to come forward and say, hey, this happened to me as a kid, and I repeated the behavior as an adult, because that's what they do. And that's where we need to start going. And the reason we had that John Prine song is this weird smile that all these guys have. And I know you want to talk about that, Howie.
Oh yeah. Well, before we get, actually, we probably should have done that first. That wasn't just some random. That wasn't just a random song we played. But I'm tweeting out an article right now to the Traffic Report. It's in the Daily Mail, and it's one of those things that it seems like and it's usually the Daily Mail. They write the most in-depth articles on the stuff, and they have an exclusive interview with Kevin Spacey's brother, whose name is sorry, give me 1 second. Randy Fowler. He's 4 years older. Kevin Spacey. I'm tweeting it out. I'm tweeting it out right now, and talking about the abuse that was that went on in the Fowler household. How the dad was. He was part of the American Nazi Party, and he was very abusive and sexually abusive towards Randy. So, which got me thinking too. the character in American Beauty,
right?
Than the neighbor. For if you read this article, it'll. I would just want. It's almost like they're talking about that guy. So I don't know where the inspiration for that character came from. Of course, once again, Kevin Spacey's in the movie. I don't know. I know he didn't write the movie, but you have a a neo-Nazi type, white supremacist type father, and also sexually molesting. I believe he was molesting the boy who I haven't seen the movie in a while. I know he was.
It's just unbelievable. I'm still reading this interview with the guy who's wants to remain anonymous.
Yeah.
But my God, and there's that ring of truth thing. I mean, it's so just typical of the way they groom these kids, the way they get access to them, the way they keep them quiet. I mean, this happened. It absolutely happened. And
right, but it seems a lot. It seems a lot easier in Hollywood because they, obviously powerful people, lots of money, and they can ruin your career for anything. They can ruin your career. All they have to do is you don't get work. They can hire another actor. I mean, they do it to people for much lesser things. So nobody's going to come out. And just like in an open secret, parents look the other way even if they suspect something's going on, because there's nothing more important in this world, obviously, than fame and fortune, even if it destroys. And we have to start going back and cataloging all the child actors who have died, got into drugs, have had all these problems, and start, and somebody needs to start going to them, people with nothing to lose now because they don't have careers, and say, what happened to you? Okay. Well, how did you tell us what happened? And it's going to be a long process, but it's begun. It definitely,
and it's a good start. It's a very good start. And I don't know, and I'm sure they've got some crazy stuff planned here for all this crap you're hearing about, November 4th, and maybe not, but they're the powers that be. They've got to be shitting themselves. And as an example, that piece of shit John Podesta tweeting out of the blue about Pizzagate the other day. I mean, that's consciousness of guilt. Sorry, there's no. You got that tweet, Howie? You want to read that tweet?
Yeah, I'm on his page right now. It was on October 31st. He had tweeted a couple things before, something about the president. Now I'm the victim of a big lie campaigning by the American president. Not bad enough that I was a victim of a massive cyber crime directed by the Russian president.
Poor
blah,
baby.
Blah. So he started with that, and then his last, and it's the last tweet on his page. Pizzagate crazies. You can keep it up, but it's 100% false. Watch your man Alex Jones grovel and then get a life. I mean that's his. This is the way a campaign CEO, Hillary Clinton's campaign CEO, tweets out. Watch your man Alex Jones grovel and then get a life. He talks like a troll. This guy was in the Obama administration. He's been in politics his whole life. He's got a powerful lobbying firm, and this is the way the guy tweets. On top of everything else, when I look at, there's certain people, like they're, when you're around someone impressive, when you're in the presence of someone who's, intelligent and just handles themselves well, you know it. John Podesta is not that guy.
Yeah,
he's not.
Do you watch Better Call Saul? Mike on Better Call Saul.
No, I don't watch anything.
God, you gotta watch it. Well, anyway, he's okay. This old tough ex-Philly cop, and he's telling this guy, "You are not the guy."
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he is not the guy. Yeah.
He's not the guy. And it's just, and I don't want to digress too much away, but, being in the presence of James Alefantis, he's, everyone's like, "Ooh, he's this, he's that." Like standing in his presence, like he's like a nothing. So,
and Alefantis, who's the top 40th, in the top 40 most influential
49th
people.
most powerful person in Washington, D.C.
Why? Because
right.
he runs some weirdo pizza outfit that has all this crazy shit in it, and pedophilic art and questionable musical performance. Everything about that place is just beyond the pale. I mean, beyond the pale.
Obviously, I don't want to compare Podesta because, Podesta is the CEO of Hillary Clinton's campaign talking like this, not being an impressive kind of guy. So what exactly has allowed this man to climb, the ladders of success in politics and lobbying? Like, what does he have, because, I think I'm a fairly good judge of character that I can look at somebody and say, wow, that guy's impressive. But John Podesta? No.
A cutthroat little creep, and a lot of them are. And that it's, we're talking, I wish Missy, we're going to have Missy back on. But, she could break down the personality because it's all there. I mean, everything, the psychological profile, the way they act.
I'm going to digress again. But even his campaign manager, Robbie Mook. I mean, this guy was not impressive. I mean, I saw him in interviews. I saw the way he handled himself. I saw, who is this guy? Some 30-something running a campaign. It's like a big joke to them.
He's a mook.
He's
another movie reference. Another movie reference. Do you ever watch? Mean Streets. It's all the Italian guys, Harvey Keitel and all that. And they're in some pool hall, and they're calling names. And he goes, I'm not going to pay you because you're a mook. And the guy says, "What's a mook?" You can't call me a mook. But
Mook was it's been in a few movies. It's like from being
it's a Guinea thing. You're a mook.
Yeah.
You're a mook.
Now guys,
you can't call me a mook. What's a mook?
I don't know why. I don't even know why I didn't make that connection because I never I should have, Robbie. But you know what I'm talking about. Like, he doesn't seem. If you looked at him, you're like, what do you do? You're like at the very most, like maybe he was like running a campaign office or something. Like, this guy is the campaign manager.
I think what it all boils down to is they're willing to do anything, and when they get into that inside the beltway, they're all. I mean, we just need to take every last one of them, every senator, just about all the House people. There may be 10 or 20, that may be worth saving, but all the infrastructure, all those federal agencies, all the infrastructure of the press and the campaigns, they're just rotten to the core. They're totally corrupt. And that's the type of people that they attract and that are successful because they're willing to lie, cheat, steal, kill, whatever. I'm not saying they're all willing to kill, but apparently quite a few of them are, with people like Seth Rich, and a lot of other people getting murdered, whistleblowers, and these people are willing to do anything, and life has no value to them. A child's life, it seems to have less value to this whole group, and it's not just them, it has overlapped and contaminated our society. That's the bottom line.
there's an interesting side note to, or I don't know if side note's the right word, but for all the Joe Biden clips that I've tweeted out, aside from what Joe Biden is doing, but when you examine the body language and the mannerisms of the actual senators, that's one thing that is extremely striking to me, because they get in front of Joe, and some of them actually seem incredibly nervous, and they're offering up, and some of them are just goofy. One, she's the senator. I believe she's a senator from Illinois. She was an Iraqi war veteran. Her name's Tammy Duckworth.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And she wheels in, and she's in a wheelchair, and she has a daughter, a very young daughter, and Joe's like, "Tammy, who is that beautiful child?" and blah blah. And Joe seems very familiar with her, and even though she's a first-time senator, I don't know where she would have known, where Joe Biden like that. Like, Joe knew some of these people very well, and some he didn't. But I mean, she had this just this goofy laugh, and it's my daughter, and you just have an impression of what a senator should be. And a lot of these people, Ben Sasse, Tom Cotton, they were, the younger ones. I mean, they were like around Joe Biden, and I'm like, this is very strange. And they're not the people that you see, on television. And they're, aside from what Joe Biden is doing in his clips, if you really watch the senators and how they are, Chuck Schumer, his family's coming up, and Chuck's introducing everyone, and this is my niece, he's kind of got that, and this is my niece so and so, and this is my blah, blah, blah. And Joe gets fixated on his, it was either his niece or his granddaughter, and Chuck's like, and this is the, and Joe just completely ignores him. He's not even listening. And then Chuck shuts up, and it's just another one of these things that just this is a senator, this is a powerful senator of the United States, and he's introducing his family, and Biden's not even acknowledging him, and just now just going right to this kid. A very, very strange.
Yeah, and this is on the floor of our government, for God's sake. We're not talking about some company somewhere in Nebraska, although it's probably going on there, but this is supposedly our holiest of holies, where our government resides, and our House and our Senate, and you've got this clown that can't even control himself. He knows he's in front of cameras. He knows these are fellow senators and lawmakers, and he can't keep his hands off kids or the guy's wives or anything. I mean, and the guy, this is the guy and his wife that are heading up Save the Children, right?
Right.
Are you kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me?
And if you look at the statistics, because I've got 35 clips, and some are worse than others, and the ones I pulled, 35 in 3 years, and some of them repeat. So it's about 30 senators altogether. So, I mean, obviously, Joe swore in all 70. So, I mean, all 100. So there's 70 that, from what I saw, that clips weren't worth really doing it. They weren't worth, nothing's going on. And some people, Bernie Sanders comes to mind, where, it's just him and his wife, and Joe swears them in, they take a quick picture, and I mean, the whole thing's done in less than a minute. So, it's not everybody.
No,
it's not everybody, but there's, so 30% is 30%, it's.
Yeah. And, C-SPAN should do a show on that, but I keep going back to this article because it's just, it's the whole culture and stuff like this, and how badly real investigation is needed. And your smile thing, I mean, this needs to seriously, and I'm sure it's all related to generational abuse, but you've got this kid, that basically was raped and abused, and he's at 14, he grows up and he gets to be about 25, and he's trying to see what Spacey could have saw in a 14-year-old, and he just can't see it, and that's what I mean. You've got some of the people that go through this abuse and they become abusers, and then you've got some that don't, and they become survivors. So it definitely warrants. Yeah, maybe when they get rid of the Kinsey Institute, they could get a real institute there that would study this, because it needs to be studied, and all their personality disorders and everything else, because and I'm sure that the generational part of this is huge, and once it stops happening, we're not going to have this in our culture, and it was unknown in let's take the Native American culture. This just didn't happen. 10,000 years ago, this wasn't a problem, and you get this group, that comes up with the City of London, and they're all devil worshippers basically, and they start this pattern of abuse that's infected the whole world, and it needs to be studied and it needs to be stamped out, and we're producing generations of pedophiles. That's what's going on right now, and Kevin Spacey appears to be one of them, And rather than hear his bullshit excuse, his career is over anyway. Why not stand up and say, look, this happened to me as a kid. I'm screwed up. I did some things that were against the law, and I need to atone for that and make it right in any way I can. But I want to understand why I did this. Not I was drunk. Right. And hopefully that'll be a part of when this all comes crashing down, we're all hoping, but and there are, Kathy reminded us, keep it positive. There is a lot of, I haven't been this hopeful in a decade, to be truthful, and I haven't seen anything like this, and it seems like it's just getting started.
Oh, it's just absolutely, it's just getting started, but and we'll get more people on, but this is the time. It's not the time to sit back and get complacent, like we got a couple of them, or this is starting to come out, and think that now it's just going to explode. And because listen, everybody has a short memory, and everyone will be move on to the next. I mean, it's just the way things happen, and we just have to keep putting stuff out there, because there's so much that's come out in the past year that's been out there that just gets lost in the shuffle. Like, I mean, Jimmy Savile should be a household name. I mean, he should be in the friggin' history books, and UK and the United States, like, and why the BBC hasn't been investigated. We go on. I never knew who Jimmy Savile was, a year ago. I had absolutely no idea.
Maybe because the head guy that covered up from him is the CEO of the New York Times, Mark Thompson.
Right. But these are the things that are. I mean, they're out there. But when you're not, it's our job, It's everyone's job to get people to stop talking about the nonsense that's put out in mainstream media every single day, and get down to like what is actually real. I don't want to. It's my fault too. I digress. But getting back to, my phone is buzzing, and I don't know why. I'm not getting text messages. I don't know. Something's going on. But the whole, the song by John Prine, "Illegal Smile," it's basically, it's about drug use and how you have that, it's, that deviant smile when you're doing something wrong. What's that, the Chester grin, or what is that called? the cat's grin.
Oh, the cat that swallowed the canary. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to say
shit-eating grin. I think it's also called.
Whatever. But I've heard. I don't remember when or where, but I mean the term pedo smile has been coined, a while ago, and you can't hide that. You can't hide that pedo smile, and I sort of jumped on that because these people, people that were convicted, and I was, Twitter, one way to use Twitter, it's like when you tweet tweet out words, people follow, people like pictures and people like videos, and that helps, get a little bbit of attention. But you familiar with the Gary Glitter, John?
Oh my God, yes, yeah.
Right. And he, in his, back in the day, he was, for anyone that doesn't know, he was like some kind of glam rock guy, from the UK or whatever. But and later in life, he got convicted. He's a horrible convicted.
He was going to Asia to have sex with.
Yeah, I don't even know the whole story, but
10-year-olds. Yeah, it was really.
But this guy, but they're, going. I'm like Gary Glitter. Maybe I heard of him or whatever, and I start going in. And I'm just doing a simple search for him, and I'm like, dude, man, that dude's got a creepy ass smile. Like that's the pedo smile. Like that's it. And then Jared from Subway, and just down the line of people that have been convicted. I'm like looking at these smiles, and you know what? Kevin Spacey had it. And we knew he flew on, Lolita Express, several times, and
another coincidence. Oh,
yeah,
you mean the one that Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Alan Dershowitz and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, when Dershowitz has the smile too. I mean, you have to get the right picture, but you just keep looking, and it's like, I don't like that smile, because I'm just an average person. I always consider myself extremely average. I hang around average people, and like I would not smile that way, and people I know wouldn't smile that way. And the pedo smile, it's like, your lips are together, and you're grinning as pretty much as wide as you can, and then you have like this deviant look in your eye, and it's like, who smiles like that? Like it just, man, I'm telling you, there's something to it, and it's up, and for me, like I believe that I know how to pick people, and so. Obviously with a little bit of information first, like a Kevin Spacey flying on the Lolita Express. Okay, maybe he was just doing that, but then you look, that it's like the tell. It is the tell, and I don't know if it's a signal to each other or they just can't help it. But I'm going on the record saying, these guys cannot. They can't help themselves. So I'll there's a hashtag pedo smile, and there's. It's probably shadow banned, but anyway.
If I ran the world, I would tomorrow go to Indiana University and kick everybody in the Kinsey Institute out, and I would rename it the Howie Institute, and you could start investigating that immediately. And I think you're right. Because I've seen it too, and
I think I'm right, and it's it's obviously nothing you can take in. It's nothing you can take into court, but it's something that if the people suspect. We've talked about Dan Schneider on the show.
Oh God, yeah.
Dan Warp, the Nickelodeon producer.
This guy, and let's talk about Schneider. This guy is a prolific serial.
Yeah, listen, TikTok, drip, drip, drip. It's been out there. It's been out there for years. But listen, what everybody is doing in social media and putting this pressure on, I'm telling you, the fact that the Kevin Spacey thing came out and the Harvey Weinstein came out, people feel comfortable now coming out and speaking. And, people, the real researchers, they were on this. I mean, years ago, it's been known, but now there's enough people. You don't want to go out there alone, and now they know if somebody comes out, they know they're going to get online community support. And this is what social media should be used for in a meaningful way to disseminate information and things that are real. And the nonsense is just constantly people are bombarded with to distract them. But Dan Schneider, his time is his time is.
Yeah, I'm looking at what he's tweeting. Dan obviously doesn't tweet. I mean, he's got somebody doing this.
Oh, absolutely. And
there is no part of reality that is currently going on in Dan's Twitter feed at Dan Warp Dan. Talking about these great Halloween interviews and this whole. And they need to. I don't know who's running Nickelodeon, but boy, if they have a board of directors, I hope they're securing long-term legal counsel. Because
it is not lost on them about what's about to come out and how they're going to try and save their network and their money and the investors, and it's probably just. I mean, they're not going to be able to contain it. No. So it's just how it's going to go down. But at the same time too, with all this stuff coming out in Hollywood, where's the LAPD? Where's the LAPD tweet about?
You know what I did hear, which was encouraging. I think
okay.
Corey Feldman finally has got somebody that's looking out for him, and I guess that's Dr. Oz.
Yeah, he went on Dr. Oz's show.
Yeah, and Dr. Oz marched him down to the fucking LAPD, and
did he?
They filed some kind of report. I don't know what but that's the kind of stuff that needs to happen. When these people come forward, and of course that's a decision, that they have to make with a therapist, so forth. But that's what needs to happen.
Right.
These police agencies need to know you're going to do something about this, or at least you're going to put it on the record.
Right.
And I believe Corey. I think he says he wants to.
I believe him too, but but I'm getting a little like, come on, dude. If you got the goods, you'll never have the support that you had like you have now. So it's time. It's time. And everybody's waiting. You're not at this alone. And just as you said, Dr. Oz, I'm not that he's listening, but I'm gonna call out Dr. Phil. You want to come out like it's like, listen, I know you do it for the money. You've made all your money. Phil McGraw. I mean, you got everything you ever need. But I mean, have that epiphany, dude. Do something. All right, with all the bullshit shows that you've run for however many years, like, just come on, do something real. You have the voice. Just come on.
And when I saw Kendall come on that show, and we all talked about that. I think we had a show about it. And how on earth can they? And I tried to get. I emailed the show. I went through Dr. Michelle Stevens, who was on that show, and who I found out, really she was just like a consultant, and they weren't even telling her anything. She's a survivor, also is a therapist now, and written some extra books. Dr. Michelle Stevens, she's on Twitter. Follow her. She's a really good person, but they've done no follow-up whatsoever. And how on earth they could put something like that on and have no follow-up with law enforcement.
Exactly.
No follow-up to the viewers. No, I mean, that's, to me, not good. And that's the only way I can put it. And if he's going to put that on his show and have other survivors see stuff like that, he is morally and ethically required to follow up. because people watch that. That could be the decision whether or not somebody comes forward, whether they get into recovery or not. I'm not done with him. I'm getting so angry looking through this Twitter feed of this Dan Schneider, and you're looking at all these kids, and how many of them have been, touched by this, there's just such weird and creepy stuff on here, and he even tweets this. There's some show that they have on it, and it looks like a man dressed up as a woman, I guess, and a lot of weird stuff is happening on Swellview's Got Talent show. What the hell does that mean? Weird stuff? I mean, and like you said, a lot of this it's like shoving it right in your face.
People have pulled those shows apart. The pictures, videos, the innuendos, and there's there are kids watching the show. This is not just teenagers. There are kids watching the show, and they're maybe not necessarily getting it, but listen, Dan's time is, like I said, he is
fatso.
Oh yeah. I wanted to, before, we get about 5 minutes left or whatever.
Yeah.
I really wanted to touch on, just, Seth MacFarlane. I don't want to call myself, I don't want to say it's like these psychic premonitions or whatever, but a lot of stuff just keeps, coming back to Seth MacFarlane, and people were tweeting out tonight. There was a clip on, from about 10 years ago. Actually, I think it was from 2005. In one of the Family Guy episodes, I don't know what was going on, and just it's one of these like cutaways, and all of a sudden, like Stewie is running out, and it's like, just says, "I just escaped from Kevin Spacey's basement," Wow. And, yeah, and like, why Kevin? What does that mean, Steph?
Yeah.
What does that mean? And getting back to the pedo smile, I'm telling you, MacFarlane's got it. I'm just, he's got. All right, I'll just say this: I don't like Seth MacFarlane's smile a little bit. I'll just leave it at that. And an odd connection, and a lot of you're a 9/11 expert or whatever. For those of you that don't know, Seth MacFarlane was slated to be on one of the planes that crashed on 9/11, the one that flew out of Boston. Let me 1 second. I'll get the actual which flight it was. I believe it's the one that crashed in. I don't know if it hit the tower or crashed in Shanksville.
Oh, 93. Yep.
Oh, was it flight 93?
Yep.
Okay.
That's the one that they shot out of the sky because it was 40 minutes late, and they couldn't make the ditch that the other planes in the ocean. But anyway.
But Seth MacFarlane was in Boston for something, and he had I guess it was an 8 a.m. flight, and he drank too much that night and missed his flight. And I don't want to go off on a 9/11 tangent, but I have my thoughts, and
I don't have the energy. I
had a high back or whatever, but I was like, man, that is some bullshit. that is just, and I'm like, well, wait a second, Seth MacFarlane he was going to be on that flight. Come on, man.
I want somebody to ask him, what did Stewie mean about Kevin Spacey's basement?
People were asking him. People were asking him what he meant by "I just escaped from." It's not the only one. I mean, there's other things about there's all these references. And listen, people knew. Like, don't tell me that Kevin Spacey's,
Yeah, you're dating a 14-year-old, but nobody knows.
Right. Kevin Spacey. Like, where exactly is Kevin Spacey going to go that people aren't going to recognize him. You know.
Yeah.
You know,
and he was doing this since the 80s, dude. I mean, the 80s. I mean, you think he stopped? You know.
Right. So, and I believe on an like an Oscar where they do the Seth MacFarlane, you know, reads off he was there to read off the nominees. They do like in the morning or whatever. He made another Kevin Spacey joke, and it's like, you know, and to be laughing about this stuff, and how many people in Hollywood knew, and you know, I mean, first and foremost, what everybody can do is just not give them a dime of your money. So,
and that's happening, dude. That's that.
Yeah. I got it. Right. But that's, you know, I absolutely, you know, they're, you know,
the Weinstein Company is done. It's done. Oh. I think there was 3 movies they were released, and they're like nobody in the theaters, which is good.
Sure. And the House of Cards. The House of Cards obviously came down because it's canceled. So.
Oh, they canceled it?
Yeah, they canceled.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
It's a shame. So I mean, but you know, it's more to come, and you know, it's like, listen, trying to tell you, and you know, and all the people that you know, laughed for a year about all this stuff, and nobody wants to talk about it and all that shit. You know, tough shit. It's on,
and we'll never
on.
stop. And we were talking about that. We will never stop. And Podesta, all these other pieces of shit. Yeah. Oh, we're gonna get a life. Yeah. Oh, well, guess what? We're not moving on. We're not moving on.
And in the interim, you know, even though, you know, obviously we know that, you know, things are happening to children as we speak.
Absolutely.
I want to believe, and I do believe that with with how the community has grown over time, that that children are not being harmed as much. People are the pedophiles are getting the rings. Everyone. They're nervous. They're scared. They're laying low.
Yeah,
that's why I want to.
Well, we got a couple more minutes. I just want to say a couple things.
No, you got.
There's November 4th is coming out. Find out there's demonstrations that are scheduled in all the major cities. So find out what's going on. Be careful. All this stuff is coming apart, and you never know what the deep state is going to be up to, or Soros is going to be up to. So you need to pay attention to your surroundings. Don't put yourself in these. Let the police handle it. You don't have to go to the Antifa rally or whatever they got going on. Just take care of your loved ones. Keep your eye on your kids. And this may be nothing, but you just never know. I mean, look at what happened in Las Vegas, New York. I mean, the deep state is busy and hard at work to divert your attention from what's important, and what's important is this pedophilia, and they're going to do whatever they can. So keep your head in the game. We'll see you Tuesday.
Good to have you back, John.